Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Let's Talk Tuesdays podcast. My name is BrendenPlayz. This is the show, of course, where we answer all of your questions that you guys send in every single week on the BrendenPlayz forums at brendenplayz.com/forums in the YouTube comment section down below, over at the Facebook page at BrendenPlayz Official, or you can leave a voicemail on the website at BrendenPlayz Official. This week is Night of Champions on Saturday night. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Night of Champions. We're going to run through the entire card, just in case you're not quite aware, and what exactly the plan is for Night of Champions, and plus a few different things as well for the channel. Brock Lesnar is going to UFC again for another fight, so we're going to be talking a lot about that today, what it will do for the WWE and for UFC. And we will talk about Monday Night Raw, which was probably a pretty lackluster show. Not a lot happened, but we'll talk about some news and things that's been going on, including a few notable deaths that's happened this week as well, unfortunately. And there'll be a lot to talk about when we get around to what is BrendenPlayz playing, because I've been playing a lot of Overwatch, and I've been excited to kind of let you guys know about my little adventures and journeys that I've had on Overwatch thus far. So let's get straight into the show. We're going to start it off with the Night of Champions discussion. So, Night of Champions will be this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. UK time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think it's probably like 4 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So, unfortunately, the thing is, you can't get everyone's time right. You can't please everyone. But I think this way, we're going to get majority of you guys pretty happy. I think majority of you guys are going to be able to see this show. Mainly just people like me who are Australians who can't really stay up till 4 a.m., for example, will be able to see the stream live. So this will be the long-term streaming schedule for the pay-per-views from now on. We tried doing at, I think it was 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 10 p.m. UK time, but it was just getting too late for the UK fans to tune in. And I think 2 p.m. on a Saturday is still very doable for a lot of you guys to do. So I think we will be able to get most of you guys in there, hopefully, to see the pay-per-view live. We had a good turnout for TakeOver, so let's see if we can get an even better turnout this time for Night of Champions. So I hope to see you all there. This time, the stream will be available on Twitch and YouTube, so you can make the decision on what you want to watch it on, whatever works best for you. Obviously, probably some would say Twitch is better service than YouTube, so you have the option to decide what you want to do as well. There will be a 1 hour pre-show, so what we're going to be doing is our Royal Rumble that we missed last week, Royal Rumble number 3. So basically, if you entered in the Royal Rumble 2 video, where you put it in the comments below that you wanted to be a wrestler for the Royal Rumble, you are in the running to be in the next Royal Rumble, which will be taking place in the pre-show of Night of Champions. Probably, I would say, let's say 1:30 p.m. or what is that, 6:30 p.m. UK time, something like that is when the Royal Rumble match itself will take place. So sometime in the pre-show, and once the pre-show is done, we'll get straight into Night of Champions in the stream there. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, it's going to be a big late night for me, but there will be probably about a 3-hour stream, I would say. I think Night of Champions will still be about 2 hours long, even though the match card is only 7 matches. Normally, we do about 8-9 matches, but this time the card is just specifically championship matches only, which we haven't done that for a while. So the card is a little bit smaller, which I think is good. Honestly, sometimes our pay-per-views can get a little bit too long. I think two hours is about the longest I really want to go most times. An hour and a half would be too short. 2 hours is about right. But quite often we get about to 2 hours 15, sometimes even 2.5 hours, which is a little bit long. So around about that 1 hour 45 to 2 hour 15 mark, in between that is where I try and aim to get the pay-per-views in by. So I think we should be able to cover that this time pretty well, and hopefully you guys are able to come along to the live stream, and it should be a hell of a lot of fun. So the matches we have, a lot of triple threat matches. I think we have 3 triple threat matches out of 7 matches, unfortunately. That's just kind of the way it worked. A lot of people kind of making, poking fun at me about doing that. But, sometimes that's just the way it is. I guess it's a part of the theme of the show. Triple threat matches galore, but something we don't do too often. We don't have a lot of triple threat matches. I think a lot of people tell me, Brendan, you do way too many triple threats and fatal four-ways and all that. But really, we don't really have a lot of that at all. We do a lot of singles matches. Sometimes the pay-per-views always singles matches. So now, except for the tag title matches. So now we have something a little bit different. Yes, some triple threat matches, different dynamic, more people getting involved, and you got to remember the theme of the night is champions. The theme of the night is to make this the toughest night of a champion's, year. This is the one night of the year where our champions will quote-unquote fear the most, because it's, meant to be a really, really tough a really tough night for our champions. So, making a triple threat match makes sense. It kind of fits in the theme. So if you kind of keep that in the back of your mind, you'll be able to understand a little bit more why we have gone down that route a little bit. We could have just done a singles match between Paige and Sasha Banks again. It would have been fine. But I felt as though if we added in another person, make it a triple threat, it'll make the new Women's Championship match a little bit more special, which is why, obviously in the end, Nikki Bella got added in there. The WWE Championship matchup, triple threat, wrote itself. That was always going to happen. And the other triple threat, the US title one, that one kind of just fell into place a little bit as well and kind of worked out that way. So the triple threats, they make sense for the most part, and I think they deserve a spot on the show. If you ask me now who's going to win some of the matches, Triple H and Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens, I've been backing him for a long time, but I think this could be the night where we see him lose the championship. Obviously, I haven't recorded Night of Champions at the moment, so this is not a spoiler or anything like that. This could be the night where he loses the championship. Triple H has been really, really, really good. So much experience there. And he might just find a way to outsmart Kevin Owens and just manage to claw away with a victory. It's going to be a hell of a task to do. But if anyone can do it, it might just be Triple H. And for the triple threat, I think Finn Balor is going to be the target. I think either Seth Rollins or Dolph Ziggler will probably walk away with the championship. I think, Balor will have to rely on the Balor Club to probably save him. So if the Balor Club gets involved, then you can expect to see Finn Balor keep the championship. If not, then Seth or, Dolph Ziggler will probably walk away with that championship. For the Women's Championship match, I think Paige will probably get that one done again. I think she's just getting going here. She's just starting to hit her stride. Sasha Banks, I think, has lost a bit of confidence in herself after a few losses now to Paige. So the pressure now will be on Sasha Banks to try and fire back there. So we'll see how she fares in that one. And so we had tag team matches, the A-listers versus the Wyatt family. The Wyatts are so dominant. Can the A-listers beat them? I think they probably need a little bit more time before they can get it done. The Beast Co versus the Spear Shock, the final match in their best of 3 series. Both teams are one apiece right now. Both teams, you could split them down by a knife. They're so good. Both teams are even as it gets, but you're gonna have to probably say Spear Shock, after getting some victories recently, might just be able to edge it out and keep those titles. The US title matchup, I think we might have a new champion there as well. Rusev, I like Rusev. I think he's done so well, but you got to think about it. Cesaro and Nakamura are just two super athletes, two guys who are just phenomenal. So if Rusev retains, then he is the real deal. I don't know how he's going to do it, but if he can do it, he will certainly have my vote as perhaps the breakout superstar of the year for me. He's done very, very well thus far, and he could cap off a really good year. Continue his momentum and potentially cap off a really good year here with that US Championship if he can get through this match. I think this is probably the biggest challenge for Rusev thus far in his Universe Mode career, no doubt about that. And finally, we have Neville versus Kalisto. Neville has officially broken out as a major breakout star here in SmackDown, beating Randy Orton at SummerSlam. Don't think Kalisto is quite there yet. Kalisto is good, but Neville, he'll be feeling so confident after that win over Sin Cara on SmackDown, and obviously the one at Randy Orton at SummerSlam as well. Neville's heating up. So the thing is, though, for Neville, I think there's a lot of good competition coming through. Jack Swagger is on fire. He wants that title back. He is on absolute fire. He just beat Sheamus. He beat Del Rio. Swagger's killing it. So look out for Neville or Kalisto, whoever is champion. Jack Swagger is coming for them. But that's our Night of Champions recap there. So that's my little predictions. If you have any thoughts on Night of Champions, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know your predictions for the pay-per-view. And again, June 11th, Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. UK time. Make sure you are there. It'd be great to see you guys there. I'll be on the chat room of both chat rooms on the YouTube and Twitch. So I will be discussing the pay-per-view live. So no matter what room you go in, whether it's YouTube or Twitch, you'll be able to chat to me when the pay-per-view is on. Alrighty, so moving on now, we have Brock Lesnar has officially signed on with the UFC for a one-night-only deal. at UFC 200. If the pay-per-view wasn't already huge, it is now just ginormous. It is going to be a hell of a pay-per-view. I think it could be potentially their best buy rate of all time. John Jones versus Daniel Cormier. That was always going to be a great fight. That was always going to be built up to be a huge, huge fight. So, happening already at UFC 200, that was going to be enough to sell a pay-per-view in my eyes as the top main event. Now, Brock Lesnar versus Mark Hunt, the return of Lesnar to UFC, obviously a huge box office attraction when he was originally there a few years back. And now, I guess the hype around it is that Brock Lesnar has had some time away from UFC, he's 100% healthy, and now coming back to UFC to fight Mark Hunt, obviously a bit of a KO specialist. It's a big fight. There's no guarantee Lesnar's going to win this fight. I think right now the bookies are basically saying that Lesnar is not the favorite to win. Mark Hunt currently favorite. For me, I think Lesnar can do it. Obviously I'm a big Lesnar fan, so of course I'm going to believe that Lesnar can do it. Of course I'm going to watch the fight. But I think Lesnar, if he can use his wrestling ability, that might just be enough to keep him in it and might be able to get Mark Hunt to the ground and out-wrestle him on the ground and get the KO on the ground there. Lesnar's such a big, strong, fast guy for his size. He is a freak athlete. And Mark Hunt, obviously great at getting knockouts. Obviously, I'm not a UFC expert at all, but this is what I've been reading. Hunt's a great KO specialist, so Lesnar needs to avoid the KO, probably needs to take it to the ground and look for the win there. But certainly will be a very, very good fight. And UFC 200 looking really stacked. And I watched the UFC 200 promo clip that they did, and it was phenomenal. The 2-minute video, the one where they showed Lesnar at the end, really, really good. That was really, really well made. And I think that WWE should definitely take some pointers from that. When they do their little advertisement clips, what was the one for Extreme Rules? It was something absolutely ridiculous. They've had a few really stupid ones. They just don't hype up their pay-per-views at all. I'm sure these guys in the back think, oh, this is creative, this is, entertaining, this is funny. No, it doesn't do your pay-per-view any justice. Whereas UFC created a 1.5-minute, 2-minute video, whatever it was, a great, great package that just made you hyped and pumped for the show. And the big reveal at the end, brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. UFC has done that right. And WWE, take note, that is something that you definitely need to look into. But the situation is this. Lesnar's obviously going to UFC for a one-fight deal. He'll be at SummerSlam as well. Vince McMahon has obviously signed off on it. Probably wondering, why did Vince McMahon do this? It's pretty simple. Lesnar wanted to do it. And Lesnar is their top prize. Lesnar is their biggest commodity. They're paying him the most. Now, it has a chance to sink or swim. It's a potential to be a huge bust or a huge boom for the WWE, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But for Vince McMahon, he's got to keep his top commodity happy. If Lesnar wants to do this, he's got unfinished business, then he's got to let him do it. Here's the thing. Lesnar's already showed loyalty to the WWE. He re-signed earlier this year at WrestleMania time, when he could have went to UFC then. Obviously had the intentions to go there. He slimmed down a bit. He was training to go to UFC. Maybe he felt as though it wasn't the right time. And something has kind of changed with Brock Lesnar. I don't know what's changed. Maybe he just feels as though he needs to be a part of this big pay-per-view. He wants to be there, wants to be a part of that. I don't know. But for whatever reason, Lesnar wants to go to the UFC. Now, I watched his little video that he did with Paul Heyman, and he basically said, I want to do it. Why am I going back? Because I want to. That's all he really gave away. And he didn't really say what changed his mind. Apparently, he called Dana White, so Lesnar wanted to do it. Dana White didn't approach him. So this is what Lesnar wants to do. And if you're Vince McMahon and you've got a guy who wants to go and do this, who's still going to be with your company when the fight's over, who's still going to be here for the next few years, why not? Here's the thing. If Lesnar wins, you create this whole new buzz about Brock Lesnar and the WWE. Lesnar has cooled off a little bit over the past couple of years. The way they've been using Lesnar hasn't been all that great. His appearances have been so all over the place. His matches haven't been as good as we once felt. He hasn't been involved in that great of a rivalries. Lesnar needs a bit of a boost, and this is the boost that he needs. And maybe Lesnar felt as though that's the case. Maybe Lesnar realizes he might need to do this. I don't think that's really the case with Lesnar. I think Lesnar knows, no matter what, I'm the big star, I'm going to get paid so much money. I think he just wanted to do this for his own sake. But for the WWE's sake, This is a great opportunity. Lesnar involved in a high-profile fight on the biggest event in UFC history. You know, it's a crossover promotion there. WWE has Brock Lesnar, their own guy in the UFC, fighting on this huge pay-per-view. If Lesnar wins, then all of a sudden people are going to be interested in Brock Lesnar again. Gets this huge mainstream attention and media exposure. And Lesnar is back. You know, Lesnar might even fight again next year. I don't know. But Lesnar is back. He gets this big win. And all of a sudden, he takes that momentum and he brings that into WWE SummerSlam. You know, so it is a big win for WWE if Lesnar wins. Now, Lesnar loses. Will it affect Lesnar? In a way, it will. I think Lesnar will be officially done with fighting altogether. And it might be a reality check that he needs. Maybe, you know, people start to say, oh, Lesnar's not as good as we once thought. And this guy's not as superhuman as we once, you know, as the WWE's kind of making out him to be. Maybe they'll start to perceive him to be a little bit weak. And whatever. So, but the thing is with Lesnar, you know, he's done everything there is to do in UFC. He has nothing to prove. So if he loses, it's not really going to taint his career or anything like that. It's not going to ruin his profile. I think it'll just be good to see him in the octagon again, see how he goes, and if he loses, well, hey, Mark Hunt was the better fighter at the end of the day, and Lesnar put up a good fight. Now, if Lesnar loses in 10 seconds, now that would be a career killer. Well, not a career killer, but that would be a huge, you know, black mark on Brock Lesnar. Lesnar, if he can get a round or two in and just kind of keep it really competitive, and, you know, it was so close, went down to the wire, that would be the best thing for Brock Lesnar, win, loss, or draw. So that's what you want to basically see. So Lesnar, very excited to see him go back there. Not a big UFC fan. I'm a bit of a casual viewer. If I'll check it out, if there's a fight that I think is interesting, I'll check it out. This one I'll definitely be checking out. I'll probably watch majority of the UFC 200 pay-per-view. It's going to be really good. And, you know, I think it's something WWE needs to kind of take a look at. You know, UFC is still doing so well, getting lots of buy rates. And, you know, UFC does lack a bit of star power, though. Obviously, Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey are their two biggest stars right now. Rousey's taken a huge hit on her star power, so we don't know the future of her. Conor McGregor took a bit of a hit as well, and you know, if this Mayweather fight does happen, that might obviously kick him back into gear. I don't think it's going to happen, so I don't think it's really up there for debate. But Brock Lesnar needs this to kind of keep him going, and UFC needs this to kind of boost up their buy rates and boost up the appeal of this event. You know, they've got one huge fight there. You add Lesnar there now. It's a bit of a stacked card now all of a sudden. So it's a win-win deal for both companies, really, at the end of the day. And it's kind of good to see that they've been able to arrange this deal between the two. I think UFC and WWE should be working together more often, and it's a shame that they kind of really distance themselves from one another. Obviously, Dana White hates the WWE, and probably Vince McMahon doesn't really get it, doesn't really see the appeal of it. I think Triple H is a guy who's a fan, I believe. I could be wrong there. But I know a lot of guys in WWE do like UFC and kind of see the appeal and keep tabs on it. So I think the crossover appeal should happen a little bit more often. Now, here's the other thing. Will WWE be able to get someone from UFC for a night? I'm not sure. I think the rumor was of someone named Paige from UFC potentially coming to SummerSlam for an appearance. I don't know her last name. I've never really heard of her before, so that'll be interesting. But I know they would love to get Ronda Rousey, and I know Ronda Rousey would probably love to do it. So that'll be interesting to see how that comes about and what happens there if WWE does get someone from UFC for a night, which would be fair at the end of the day. It'd be a fair trade, and I would love to see that. Like I said, more crossovers would be better, and it would help both companies, you know. It's a tough market out there, and I know they're probably the biggest rivals one another. But hey, if they work together a little bit, it's gonna just do good business for both of them. Really, it really will. And you know, there's more often. You know, the case is more UFC people can go to WWE and do it than WWE guys can go to UFC and do it. You know, basically UFC guys, if they go to WWE, they don't have to get in the ring, they can just make an appearance, blah, 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 blah. Whereas someone from WWE, they have to go there and fight. So it's a little bit harder for WWE guys to go cross over to UFC, but when it can happen, you know, I want to see it happen. And it's a shame we don't see it more often, but it'd be good to see Lesnar in there, and I'm very, very excited. I'll be definitely watching UFC for that one. Monday Night Raw this week. Again, a really poor show. I mean, are they on cruise control? I mean, what was going on this week? I don't know. For starters, Teddy Long is back. I didn't mind the start of the show where they were all on the ladders. I missed the first 5 minutes, but I came on and flicked it on, and they were all on the ladders, cutting promos and one another. That was okay. It was kind of, some good back and forth between the guys there. But yeah, Teddy Long back. Didn't see that one coming. I can't say anyone saw that one coming, but not a bad little surprise. It was okay. But it was just very random, very odd, and very weird. I just didn't really get it. They made Teddy come across as someone who's a bit senile, doesn't know what the hell's going on, getting the matches wrong. He struggled to kind of get a few of his sentences together at times. So I'm not sure what was really going on there, but I never thought I would see Teddy Long back in the WWE again, so I'm quite surprised that he's there, and even though it's probably going to be for one night, but it was... it was kind of cool to see him there, and he wanted to do his little tag team match, so that was fun. So that was okay. The thing is that I would probably like to see here is I would like to see more people coming on Raw and maybe even SmackDown trying to audition themselves to be the next general manager or SmackDown or Raw. Teddy Long could be the starter. Maybe John Laurinaitis comes back next week. Let's bring back People Power, and he's starting to kind of, petition himself to be the next GM. I would like to see a bit of a running storyline until the brand split happens, where we see all these different people come back trying to, create a match or two, give some ideas, trying to get themselves as the next GM. That could bring back some different people, some people from the past, which would be cool to see, create some interesting and perhaps even some funny confrontations. So that might be something that they could do. That might be just a little bit, a little bit of a funny side to the show, a little bit of a nice little cool thing to do every week. Teddy Long could be the start, like I said, John Laurinaitis. Maybe bring back Mick Foley for a night. Shawn Michaels could do it. Whoever. They could just bring him in for a night and potentially be, the next GM and have all these people trying to audition themselves, and obviously at the end of the day, announce who the next GMs are going to be. So that could be a little bit of a running storyline that they could think about doing. John Cena and AJ Styles is official for Money in the Bank, a bit of a dream match that many of us have been thinking about for years. I think, I think probably, 4 years ago, I was kind of discussing the possibility of this match on wrestling forums, and I was thinking, there's no way, and, what would happen if these two guys, how would the match go, would it be a good match, and all this, fantasy booking around this match, and now we actually get to see it, so there's going to be a big hype around it, but I feel like it will be ruined a little bit by the interference of the club, and potentially even the New Day might get themselves involved, so we're going to get the makings of a great match, then I think it'll be cut short because of outside interferences. And we probably will see the real deal maybe at SummerSlam, which I think would be a big SummerSlam match. So it's a little interesting that they're kind of giving this away now. So maybe they can try and stretch it out and really kind of finish it up strong at SummerSlam. So that's the way I would do it. John Cena pretty comfortably destroyed AJ Styles on the mic tonight. Cena definitely got the better of Styles, and Styles is not a promo cutter, we all know that, so I'm not sure why they're trying to have him go back and forth with Cena, but, I'm slowly starting to like the club again, with AJ Styles, with Gallows and Anderson. It's a really good fit, and I'm not sure if I like the whole, let's just kind of throw them in the tag team title mix, let's just have them there, just to give them something to do. Not sure if I'm a big fan of that. I would probably rather them just be without a match, and be there with Styles. So that's a little interesting that they're kind of going that way. But, I guess really, you've got the Vaudevillains and Enzo and Kaz. You kind of need someone to be there with the New Day. We've seen the Dudley Boys do it 1,000 times. The Ascension is not there. Social Outcast, I don't know what the hell happened to them. Who else is there? I mean, Breeze Dango or whatever they're calling themselves. Not quite there yet, so... which, by the way, didn't mind the little remix theme song, and now, obviously, they're coming together, the same outfits. It looks so that's a long-term pairing between those two, which kind of fits... They kind of fit each other. I didn't really think about it, that they could possibly do it, but not a bad little pairing there. Not really for me. What I would kind of see the appeal in, the whole model kind of thing, and checking themselves out. That's really not my deal. So not a huge fan of them, but hey, I think it's not a bad little pairing there. But like I said, not quite there yet for the tag titles. And which, by the way, they've versed R-Truth and Goldust 1,000 times already in 3 weeks? Let's cool it off on that a little bit. It's getting a little bit too much. Every single week they're versing each other on SmackDown and on Raw. A little bit too much. A little bit too much for my liking. Probably once or twice was enough anyways, but now we're getting it over and over and over. Probably going to get it again next week, no doubt. No doubt about that. But, so we have a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the WWE Tag Team titles. Should be a good matchup. I know that they're saying Money in the Bank is going to be the best ever Money in the Bank pay-per-view of all time, which I don't think is going to be anywhere near the case. I think 2011 was probably the best. Money in the Bank has actually been a very good pay-per-view over the years. I guess you kind of think of the big four. I mean, Survivor Series nowadays isn't really a big one. But Money in the Bank probably is the fourth best pay-per-view of the year. WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam. Money in the Bank is really up there. It might be the fourth best. Obviously Survivor Series is meant to be big four, but nowadays not really. So Money in the Bank might be, for me at least, that fourth one, because you got the Money in the Bank ladder match. Some years you've even got two Money in the Bank ladder matches. And quite often you get a big main event. We've got two big main events. We've got AJ Styles and John Cena, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Two big matches there. An interesting Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. A pretty good lineup in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Looks as though we're going to get Rusev versus Titus O'Neil. Probably a tag team match between the women, which I'm not really all that keen on. But for the most part, a pretty good lineup for Money in the Bank. I think the card is looking pretty good. So potentially it could be very, very good. I think the Money in the Bank ladder match will be very good, and the two main events will be great, and maybe a couple good matches there on the undercard to kind of top it all off. So shaping up to be a pretty good show indeed. But just to finish on the AJ Styles and John Cena thing, I'm really looking forward to the match. I think it's going to be great. I think these two will work really well together, and like I said, hopefully they finish it up strong at SummerSlam and don't give it away at Money in the Bank. Even though Money in the Bank, like I just said, it's meant to be better than normal now. It's getting up there. It is, but SummerSlam is still, at this time of the year, your go-to. That's still the one, the big one. You still want to build your biggest matches around SummerSlam and not give it away too early. If you had Money in the Bank, maybe at Payback, perhaps, or Money in the Bank at later in the year, or instead of Survivor Series around that time, yeah, give it away then if you want. But now you would probably want to save that for the next biggest pay-per-view, which will be SummerSlam. So I definitely want to see that happen then. We had the Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns video packages. Basically, Seth Rollins was just cut away from WWE24's Seth Rollins one that they did last week, which, by the way, was absolutely phenomenal. That was really, really good. I don't think I got a chance to say anything about it on the podcast last week, but that was a really, really good video package that they did on Seth Rollins, a little 1 hour documentary. It was really long, but it was really good. The whole hour, I was really glad that it went an hour long. I think if it had went for half an hour, it would have been way too short. So they kind of got the timing right there. And it was a really, really good video package just to kind of understand what Seth Rollins went through, and the whole redesign, rebuild, reclaim. Certainly was really prevalent in that video and the documentary. So definitely check that out if you haven't already on the network. And it was good to see that kind of played a little bit on Raw as well. And, obviously when they played that, certainly seemed as though Seth Rollins is now like the babyface, but in reality he's not. So it was very much a babyface video package, and they kind of try to twist it a little bit at the end. He's saying, "Oh, I'm not doing it for the fans. I'm kind of doing it for me. No one was there for me when I needed them." Blah blah blah. But really, it was more of a video package for a babyface. So again, the whole debate. Roman Reigns, should he be a heel? Should he be a babyface? It comes about again, but at the end of the day, they're not going to turn him, and I guess this is the way they're going. But I would really like to see Seth Rollins as a babyface. I think a lot of us would like to as well. So I'm not going to be booing the guy. I'm a big fan. So I'm growing more and more a Seth Rollins fan. Obviously, him being gone for so long, when he was here as champion, I was getting a bit tiresome of the whole act that he was doing, his gimmick, and what they were making him do on Raw. I just wasn't liking it. And, him as a babyface, I really felt as though that was going to be the time where I would really, really enjoy Seth Rollins the most. But I guess we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that to happen. That's pretty much it for Raw this week. Like I said, not much really went down. Like I said, a really lackluster show. NXT TakeOver The End is going to be happening this Wednesday. I thought the takeovers normally happened on Saturdays. Was that just a one-off thing? I kind of got accustomed to that being on Saturday. So this Wednesday, and it looks as though they're going to be doing the big steel cage match, Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor, which will be very, very cool. So I'll be checking that out. I'll be watching that. I'm not sure if I'll watch it live, but I'll be definitely checking it out. Not sure about the rest of the card, but I just want to say the Joe... Oh yes, and there's Nakamura and Austin Aries. So there's two big matches there. Joe and Balor should be lots of fun. And if Samoa Joe is anything like he was at the last TakeOver, it should be really, really cool. Good to see Nakamura doing something pretty good as well with Austin Aries. I think Nakamura will be the next one to come after Samoa Joe once the Balor and Joe rivalry ends. So I think which is the whole basis of the pay-per-view, of the special event. A lot of people have been saying, oh, is this the end of NXT? Is this the end of takeovers? It's not really. It's just the end of this rivalry. I think that's at least what I'm getting at with it. This is the end of Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. The final match, the final encounter, this is it kind of situation, which obviously would mean Samoa Joe will probably win. Finn Balor, well, will he go up? I don't know. Will he stay around? Maybe. Who knows with Finn Balor right now? Nobody knows. I mean, I think we'd all like to see him probably join the club and do something there, but I guess that's not going to happen. Who knows? Who knows? But it looks as though Nakamura, for me, will be the next man in line to take on Joe and probably take the belt from Joe. I think Joe is more of a transitional champion, if anything, at this point. So that's something to look forward to. As well as that, after NXT TakeOver, Breaking Ground is back. Just read that before I went live on the show this week. That's really, really great. Breaking Ground is the best show on the network. It is phenomenal. It's a really, really well-made, brilliant show. I loved it when it was on last year. We'd always highly anticipate the next episode. So it is back, and obviously the premise of it will be around WrestleMania time, and obviously NXT TakeOver Dallas will be heavily featured. So there's a lot that happened there because a lot of guys went up from NXT to the main roster. So seeing how their progression went and how their thoughts and feelings around about that time would be interesting to see. And also seeing a few different guys join up the ranks as well. Seeing how Austin Aries is doing there, Nakamura. I'm not sure if they'll be featured all that much on Breaking Ground. Normally it's just the newcomers, but there's been a few different faces there we can kind of get ourselves accustomed to and get to know a little bit further. So should be lots to like about Breaking Ground this year, so I'm really excited to see that again. And that's pretty much it for the wrestling chat this week. We had a few notable deaths, unfortunately, this week. We lost Muhammad Ali, and today we also lost Kimbo Slice. Ali, what can you say about the guy that hasn't been said? Legend, perhaps the best sportsman of all time, had all the charisma in the world, cocky, confident, you name it. He backed it up in the ring, though. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. Obviously, well before my time, but his name still gets brought up all the time to this day about how good he was. People bring him up all the time, but because he's such a legendary character in sports. So rest in peace to Ali. For me, I haven't had a chance yet, but I want to go onto YouTube and find some clips of Ali fighting. I've watched a few of his interviews that he did, and he's just, very, very entertaining, very, very good talker, and would have been really great in wrestling, honestly. Someone like him would have been brilliant in wrestling, but obviously a great spokesman as well, and just a great figure in the world. And unfortunately, very unfortunate what happened with him, getting Parkinson's and things like that, but had a great life, no doubt about that, so rest in peace. And Kimbo Slice, unfortunately, passed away today as well. Obviously, a legendary street fighter. I kind of checked out some of his fights on YouTube. I didn't really know much about Kimbo Slice at all. He had a fight with Ken. Was it Ken Shamrock? Was it Ken or Frank Shamrock? One of those. I think it might have been Ken. I don't know. He had a fight with one of the Shamrocks not long ago, and that was really the only time I kind of really heard about the guy. So I had a chance to check out some of his fights, just some of the street fights that he had, him knocking guys out, and he was a beast, really. But I guess, when you're fighting like that and you're really, partaking in all this dangerous sport, the lifespan isn't going to be long. And I think Kimbo Slice, some people have been saying steroids and all these different things and drugs and all these different things that contributed to his death. But obviously has a big legacy, a very notable character in the world of fighting and MMA as well. Had plenty of fights there as well. So, it's another sad loss today. And so rest in peace, Kimbo Slice. He's another one I want to check out a little bit more and read up a little bit more about his life. So we'll move on now to what is Brendan playing this week. Overwatch. Yes. So obviously next week. Is it next week? I think it is next week. Let me have a quick look at my calendar. I don't even know. So what are we now? Yeah, next week. Next Wednesday is my birthday, so I got an early birthday present. I was just shopping with the family, and I'm like, what do you want? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to get Overwatch, but I'm not sure if I want it or not. And, I just got it. So, I got it, and I'm like, well, I wasn't even that keen to really play it. But I put it in, tried it out, and I fell in love. This game is really, really fun. I'm going to do a video probably later on today or tomorrow where I'm going to show a gameplay where it was my second game actually playing Overwatch, and I went 36-0. It's still my best score that I've got on the game, and I got it in my second game playing it, so that was insane, and that kind of got me hooked from there. So, yeah, a lot of fun playing Overwatch. I highly recommend it. It's a really, really fun shooter thus far. Lots to do in it. A pretty deep shooter as well. Lots of different characters to play as. It's a really, really good, really, really good time. So, if you haven't already, check out Overwatch. I'll be doing a gameplay on it later on, so you can check out my video if you want as well to get a bit of a further insight on the game. Before that, I was playing some Uncharted. Was that more last week? I was playing more Uncharted last week. And I've also been playing a lot of Fallout 4. I kind of got myself back into Fallout 4. Not sure if I mentioned that last week. I probably did, so I apologize. But I've been playing a lot of Fallout 4, playing some of the DLC. I'm kind of working on Fallout 4, my own arena. So Fallout 4 for me right now is my own version of Minecraft. I said on Twitter it's like the adult version of Minecraft a little bit, because all I've been doing on it is just building stuff, and right now I'm working on a huge arena, this big battle arena where I'll have different creatures versing some of the settlers in my town or my settlement, whatever you want to call it. So I'm working on that. I know I'm a little bit late to the party on the whole arena thing, but I finally got the DLC and I'm kind of playing with that, so I'm having a lot of fun there. This arena, though, is going to be a hell of a lot of work, and I don't have all the resources and supplies to do it all. So I'm kind of like doing a little bit, buying more resources, selling all the junk that I can get to get as much money as I can to buy more, and slowly working on it. So hopefully when I finish it, it'll be pretty cool. It's not going to be amazing, because, that's just me. I never build anything amazing, but hopefully it does the job. And I'm looking forward to kind of finishing that off. And yeah, need to play more Uncharted. I haven't played more since I streamed it last week, but obviously on the weekend I had my family here as well, so we kind of were a little bit busy, and I didn't really get a chance to kind of game too much or do anything really at all that I would normally do on a weekly basis, so kind of catching up a little bit, and unfortunately for me, exams start next week as well, so that really, really, really sucks, so yeah, so I'm going to have to start focusing on doing that, and that's going to be a bit of a bummer, and hopefully I can get through those, and I've got 4 exams to do in the next couple of weeks, so I want to try and get to Night of Champions, get that through, and then get these exams done, and just focus on having a good time, focusing on relaxing and enjoying my time off in July. Cannot wait until July. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. In August as well. Probably won't have much to do in August when it comes to my uni, so I'll be able to really enjoy the next couple of months after that. So that should be a lot of fun. But So we have a few questions we're going to get into this week. Bit of a shorter show today, probably, because there really isn't much to chat about. We kind of got into the major topics this week, so let's get into some of our questions for this week.
Hi, Bren. 2K17, do you think there'll be different commentary teams for different shows, especially now there's a brand split, like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, pay-per-views, whatever? Do you think this happened? Thanks.
No, I don't. I don't think so. I think they're going to do the same team as probably last year, JBL, Cole, and I don't know if they'll do Jerry Lawler. They might do Byron Saxton this year. I don't know. I think the brand split is happening at a time where it'll be too hard for them to kind of change their plans and redo everything. I think next year's game will probably be more brand split orientated, perhaps even being rebranded to being SmackDown vs. Raw again, and seeing SmackDown as a separate thing to Raw, whereas this game is going to be still basically what you see now in the WWE. I would love to see Mauro Ranallo on the game, even Jerry Lawler, and if I have to suffer Byron, I will. I'd like to see the two different commentary teams be on Raw and be on SmackDown, but I just don't see that as a thing to happen yet. It's obviously a lot harder to do because it means you have to get all this new dialogue and basically kind of repeat a lot of the same dialogue for all these different guys. So Cole has to do all this, Ranallo has to do all that as well. So, yeah, it's possible, there's no doubt about that, but I think it's probably a little bit too late in the schedule for things to change. This next one comes from Yuto Hiro Shij. Hopefully I kind of nearly got that one right. It's a tough one. What do you have to say about the closeness of Hideo Itami teasing to come back into NXT? So what I have to say about Hideo coming back, I think Hideo is going to be, I think Hideo might be lost in the shuffle a little bit. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen him. I think a lot of people have forgotten about him. You kind of talk about, has the fans forgotten about me kind of situation? Yeah, I think it has. I mean, Seth Rollins was kind of worried about it. A lot of people are always still bringing up Seth Rollins. A lot of people are still talking about Seth Rollins and wondering when he's going to be back. Hideo Itami's been a guy that I haven't really heard anything at all. A little bit here in the last couple of months because he's been rumored to potentially be coming back soon. But, for a good 8 or so months when he was gone, not a peep was heard about him. So they've got Nakamura there now, so they've got their new Japanese guy there. So potentially he could be replaced by Nakamura. I don't think his spot is in jeopardy, but I don't think perhaps the push that they might have had for him last year will be, given to him this year. I think he might have to wait in line a little bit. So Hideo has still got a lot of developing to do. I hope he's really touched up on his English a lot whilst he's been gone, and I hope that when he comes back, he'll be, ready to go in that aspect. Obviously, in ring ability, he is superb. He's brilliant, but really, it's just the character and the getting used to the English barrier and overcoming that. That's going to be his biggest downfall, and the WWE may be reluctant to kind of give him the ball or give him a chance because of it. So if he can overcome that issue, then there should be no reason why he can't succeed, because of his in-ring ability is superb, and they will always shine at the end of the day. So Itami, I think it'll be a rough road for the next 6 months or so when he does come back, but slowly, he'll get more opportunities, and slowly he'll come back to where he potentially was. Who knows? He might even get a push straight away. Obviously, they did the whole injury tease as well, so when he comes back, he might just get a huge push right from the get-go. Who knows? Maybe it was Samoa Joe who beat him down. I mean, I know most of us probably thought it was probably like Kevin Owens or something, but who knows? Who knows what will happen there? This one is from Thomas Speller. In your universe mode, how do you manage to find something for everyone to do, but the WWE can't do it? I don't really have something for everybody to do. Basically, the way I do it in universe mode is I'll feature people in different periods. Basically, for example, Dean Ambrose had a big six-month run as the champion, and won the Royal Rumble, had the big WrestleMania match, did all that. And he hasn't been featured a little bit in the last couple of months because we're kind of taking him away a little bit and take him away and bring him back when we have something for him to do, and he'll be a little bit more refreshed and ready to go. That's kind of the way that I see to do it. As an example as well, Brock Lesnar was champion for such a long period of time, but haven't given the championship since, because, you know, he had such a long period there. You know, I try to feature different guys all the time. I don't want to keep doing the same guys over and over. You know, another one, John Cena, obviously champion a number of different times, but hasn't been champion for a while and hasn't really done anything of great note for a while. He had a little bit here and there at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, but we haven't really featured him too heavily. So we've kind of been rotating guys in and out. You know, sometimes this guy will get a big feature, sometimes he won't. You know, that's the way I do it, at least. And that's because there's only two matches per episode, twice per in-game week that we can focus on these different talents. So we can't just keep doing the same ones all the time, because no one will ever get an opportunity. So we rotate them out a little bit, keep people fresh and keep people going. So there is times where people will have nothing to do or be in matches that perhaps won't be leading anywhere, but for the most part, I try and kind of pick a group of guys and do my best that I possibly can with that group. And then sometimes, you know, for example, the losers, they'll get rotated out and different people come in and kind of replace them, and we'll kind of go from there. That's just the way I kind of view it anyways. Another question here. This one comes from Raphael. I'm just going to say Raphael Fierstein. I'll give that a shot. What do you see in the future for Sami Zayn? As you guys probably know, I'm a huge Sami Zayn fan. I think he's a mid-card guy, really, in the future. I think the only way he would probably get near a world title is if the fans kind of forced it a little bit, like Daniel Bryan. I don't think Sami Zayn's as good in the ring as Daniel Bryan. A bit of a better talker, and his character, not bad. But for me, I just don't really see him as a world champion. Definitely see him winning the IC title, but I just can't envision him getting the next step into the world title picture, and nor would I probably want to see that. So Sami Zayn hasn't really won me over yet. So I know a lot of you guys like Sami Zayn, so that's not a knock on him. He's a great wrestler, but for me, I just don't see him as world champion potential yet. Who knows? You know, they could always change in the future, but for me right now, probably to see him probably winning an IC title or so. This one comes from Maro. Oh my god, these names this week. Marwan. I don't know. This one comes from X, and he says, "Who will Brock Lesnar face at SummerSlam?" Obviously, he's confirmed to be at SummerSlam, so a lot of people are saying, "Who is he going to face?" A lot of people asking me, saying to me, "Brendan, I think he's going to face Roman Reigns for the title." I could see that happening. If you're going to have Lesnar come back, you've got to have him versus a champion. Whether there is two champions or one, we don't know yet. But for me, Lesnar's got to be involved in the main event of SummerSlam, the biggest match of SummerSlam, for a title. If he wins, should he win? Probably not. I don't know. I don't want him to win the title, but you know, he's got to be involved in a huge match because he's coming off UFC. He should have momentum. If Lesnar loses at UFC, you could quite easily do a storyline saying, "Oh, Lesnar, you're getting old. You're not the man that you used to be. You're no longer the beast. Blah 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 blah." And have a heel come out and kind of doubt Lesnar's ability, and you know, talk themselves up and say, "Oh, I can beat you, Lesnar," and then Lesnar comes out and beats the living shit out of him. You know, that's a match that, you know, an easy storyline. It works, and it will get Lesnar's momentum going again if he does lose at UFC. So that's an easy way to kind of overcome any situation of a loss. So for that case, you probably want him to be a babyface and come back, you know, obviously come back as babyface and versus a heel. Maybe someone like Seth Rollins could be the guy for that. We have seen that in the past. I know Bray Wyatt has been one that's been mentioned quite a lot, so that's also a possibility. I would love to see Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar. I haven't seen that one yet, so that's a match I would love to see. So there's a lot of possibilities. There's a few names that are just kind of thrown out there. This one comes from Aomide Borisade. Man, I'm having a rough week with these names, I'll tell you that. This one, he wants to know, do you think that if The Undertaker debuted today, would he be as over as he was 25 years ago? And also, which major superstars from the previous WWE eras would have flopped if they debuted today? You know, I think Undertaker would have flopped because his character was just, you know, superhuman dead man. You know, it's goofy, and a lot of people don't buy into that. You see characters like that nowadays, they flop. that would be a major, major flop. Back then, wrestling hadn't been exposed that much. Just a little, it was starting to get there, but people still bought into it. And he had a huge size, a huge frame that kind of fit the bill back then. And he had that scary look to him that kids were afraid of him. It really worked. Nowadays, people, since wrestling's so exposed, people know everything about it. People are like, oh, what's this fucking gimmick? This is goofy. What is he trying to, tell us that he's, dead or undead or what? It just wouldn't work. Other wrestlers that would have flopped, I would probably say Ultimate Warrior would be one. He had a very, very intense gimmick that I think people would have not really attached themselves to. Hulk Hogan as well. He was a very 80s kind of thing. Eat your vitamins, blah, 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 blah. That was a very, at the time, situation. Nowadays, people will be like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here, idiot. Things like that. And any really over-the-top gimmicks probably would have kind of failed a little bit. Macho Man, I think maybe would have been okay. Ric Flair still would have been okay, I think. I'm just trying to think. Someone like Andre the Giant would have been okay still. I think he's such a freak of nature that he would have been okay. I'm just trying to continue to think. But, wrestling back then was filled with so many, ridiculous gimmicks. I mean, Junkyard Dog coming out like that, and, yeah, so there's a few guys that would obviously kind of fit in, but for the most part, you could probably run down a list, and you'd probably say more often than not they wouldn't be fitting in nowadays and kind of be laughed at a little bit. But this one comes from Rory the Boy. Do I think Byron Saxton would be better as a play-by-play commentator rather than a color commentator? Absolutely not. Go back to the episode where... What happened? I don't remember what happened. Why? Oh, I think Lesnar beat up Cole and Booker T and everyone. I don't know. He beat up everyone, and Byron Saxton was stuck to do the play-by-play. He was absolutely atrocious. Now, mind you, that was his first big opportunity, and it was a rough night. It was a very nerve-wracking night, but he was absolutely terrible, awful. He had added no excitement to the match at all. He was just boring, drizzling shit. Byron Saxton is on my shit list. I do not stand the guy. He has not a lick of talent in his whole body. He sucks. No matter what he does, he sucks. As simple as that. You cannot show me anything that I would potentially say Byron Saxton adds anything to a match, adds anything to a show. He's useless. He adds nothing. I do not like him whatsoever. Play-by-play, color commentator, whatever. He sucks. And if he left WWE tomorrow, you wouldn't even notice. This one comes from Oakley Tiger. What do you think about Cody Rhodes versus Kurt Angle happening in an indie promotion? Really good. I think that's really good. It's a big get for an indie promotion. Cody Rhodes, like I said a few episodes ago, will be a big name on the independents. I think New Japan will have a lot of success if they can get him. Ring of Honor and several indies around, kind of having him on their main events and using his name and having him lined up with some of the top indie names would really work out really well. So I think Cody Rhodes and Kurt Angle will be great. I hope I can get a video of it or something like that, and so I can watch it. So I think that's one to be very excited about. Another one from Roy the Boy. Do I think Dana Brooke will get the Roman Reigns-esque push? No, I don't think so. I think Dana Brooke will be protected for a while, kind of be Charlotte's sidekick for a long time, and slowly introduced over time. I don't think they'll give her the big push. I think there's much better people ahead of her, and I think they know that. I think they know she's not there yet, and I think they seem a lot more in Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Bayley than they do in Dana Brooke, and even someone like Eva Marie would probably get ahead of her as well. So, no, I don't think so. This one is from Tom Huxley. Is Tyson Kidd ever coming back? I was thinking about this earlier today, actually, when I was thinking about all the injuries and who's still left to come back, and, Tyson Kidd's name popped in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot about him a little bit. We haven't heard a little bit from his update. I don't know if he's going to come back. I hope he does. I thought he and Cesaro were just starting to get somewhere with their tag team, so it was a little bit of a shame to kind of see that fizzle away and have to stop there because of an injury. So I hope he can come back from it. But there's so many guys that's come through that's, probably replaced him. So if he does come back, I'm not sure if he'll ever get a big opportunity again. So I don't know. Finally today, this final question comes from my man, Thomas Speller again. Do I think there are less surprises in wrestling now because of spoilers and the internet? Absolutely 100% yes. Spoilers still can happen. Seth Rollins, his return was still a surprise. There's still many, many surprises if done right. For the most part, a lot of things do get leaked, unfortunately, but if done right, they can do everything they can to try and, stop the spoiler from happening. And when there is a genuine surprise, it makes wrestling so much fun to watch. And I still think surprises can happen in this day and age. They just have to be, you just got to try a little harder. You just got to try a little harder to get it done. So you got to make sure that they get them in the bus and hide them all day, and then just before they're ready to go out, then say something, then show them, and they'll be okay. So spoilers still can. Spoilers certainly do affect wrestling in terms of tape shows, but nowadays, if you're doing a wrestling show and you're not live, unfortunately, you're just not going to get anywhere because spoilers will severely hurt your chances of getting a viewership on a week-to-week basis. So live shows and keeping surprises still in wrestling is a must. And without surprises, then wrestling will certainly become very, very boring. And hopefully we can still preserve surprises in wrestling going forward. But that will do it for this week's edition of Let's Talk Tuesday podcast. We got around about the usual time this week. Some good questions kind of filled in some time at the end there. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please do leave a like on this episode and keep the questions coming. You can leave a question in the YouTube comment section down below, over at the Facebook page at BrendenPlayz Official. Hopefully I do remember again next week. Leave a voicemail on the website, BrendenPlayz.com. You can also leave a question on the forums, BrendenPlayz.com/forums. And hope to see you all at the Night of Champions stream this Saturday, 2 p.m. I keep thinking it's 5 p.m. It's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you all there. Hope you all have a great week as well. And it's time for me to go play some Overwatch. Hope you guys have a great week. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I'll see you all next Tuesday.